Now, back to basically Ghost of Tsushima, honestly, we're going to talk about New Game Plus. So, oh, wait a minute. I forgot I skipped over the beginning part because I wanted to save it for last because it was going to take longer, which is the animation portion. I keep saying animation portion of the segment. Animation segment of this portion of the podcast, which is what video games would work as animated series. Now, we haven't been getting many comments on this, but I talked to people who specifically I know have watched the entirety of the episode. A couple friends of mine, as well as people that I work with, have said that they have watched the entire podcast. So for those people watching, I would like for you to comment and tell me what video games have you played, even if you're not a big gamer, just video games that you see. It could be Mario, it could be Sonic, it could just be something popular that you used to play when you were a kid. Could you see as an animated series? So for me, I want to start off with mentioning one a series that is being animated that I think will work wonderfully is Resident Evil. Resident Evil has had several animated movies, but the movies have been pretty much like Resident Evil 5 and 6 in a sense that they're straight up action movies. Much like the Resident Evil live action movies and Resident Evil 5 and 6, they're just action movies, and nobody wants that. Well, some people want it. I don't want it. And most Resident Evil fans don't want it because Resident Evil is meant to be a survival horror franchise. The action, of course, is meant to be there because in Resident Evil, unlike a game like Outlast, you're actually able to fight back. So there needs to be a bit of action, but not too much that it completely takes away from the horror aspect. And Infinite Darkness, from the 45-second teasers that they've shown, looks like it incorporates both action and horror pretty well. From the poster, I'm stuttering. From the poster, it looks like that Leon and Claire are going to be the main characters of it's called Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. It seems like they're going to be the main characters. But 3 games that I want to mention before Nick gives his is I want to see The Legend of Zelda animated again because the old series was a bit goofy and it was weird. It's hilarious actually. Look up on if you're in The Legend of Zelda, you want to see something hilarious. Even if you're not in Legend of Zelda, just look up Legend of Zelda animated series clips. It's hilarious. Link,
I've seen them.
Yeah, Link doesn't. For anybody who doesn't know, Link straight up just doesn't talk in any of the games. He talks in the show, and it's weird, and it's funny. And the way he acts isn't the way you would think Link would act in the games, and it's really funny. There's been a Mario animated series. I actually have no idea what happened to that series.
There's been a couple of them, but one of them was really, really, really good.
Yeah, Mario is much like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
It could easily work as a Mickey Mouse started a cartoon. What am I talking about? But Mario could also work like Mickey Mouse does as a really popular cartoon character. Everybody knows Mario. Most little kids love Mario. Like Mario as a children's show would be great. Like it could be like one of those children's shows that it's a children's show, but they got some adult jokes in there. So if you watch it with your kids, you can enjoy it too. And last but not least, Final Fantasy. Because for me personally, we literally talked about this last podcast and probably podcast before that, and we'll probably continue talking about it forever, about how I'm not that big into turn-based combat, and that's why I wasn't that big into Final Fantasy until I played Final Fantasy VII Remake and saw Final Fantasy 16 trailer a couple weeks ago, which we talked about. And I think that if they take that story and animate it from the beginning, from the first Final Fantasy, or if they want just do Final Fantasy VII because that's the most popular one, and just animate that, it would be fantastic. It makes there because there literally are. I think there's one, but there are Final Fantasy one movie specifically about Final Fantasy VII, but there are several Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy animated movies, 3D animated movies, but a 2D animated or even 3D animated. Honestly, because it started as a video game.
The 3D animated Final Fantasy movies, in my opinion, aren't that great.
Well, no, they're not that good, but because the games are good, there's the potential of the stories. All they need is a good writer. That's about it. All they need to do is a good writer and for it to be serialized rather than one film or a couple of films. And when I say animated, actually, it doesn't have to be limited to a series. You could say it could be an animated movie. So, you got anything?
Yeah, actually, while you were talking, I was trying to think of a few video games I would want to see animated. I wanted to start with Sleeping Dogs, but I don't want Sleeping Dogs to be animated. I want Sleeping Dogs to be like a full-on live-action HBO
Yeah, I was about to say
TV show.
that would work better in live action. Like the
Yeah, it
long,
would work way better in live action. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time, or not TV shows, one of my favorite video games of all time. And like, I want it to be like an HBO original series, or not original, obviously, but like an HBO series with like top-notch like budget and everything.
yeah,
But
everybody watching understands why you specifically point out HBO because HBO is known to put money into their series,
yeah,
like Game of
yeah.
Thrones. Like they put money in.
Oh yeah. Let's see, what video game would I want? Does it have to have originated as a video game? Like, it has to have originated, so I can't pick Spider-Man.
No, because Spider-Man has animated series. Even though you want a better,
Yes, he does, but,
look,
no, just hear my pitch, right? Hear my pitch. In the Spider-Man PS4 universe, animated in the same style as the new DC animated universe movies, so like Son of Batman, Justice League Dark, like stuff like that, like animated in that style. But Spider-Man PS4, there's a police siren going on and stuff like that. Oh, Spider-Man PS4 in that universe with all that stuff going on with that suit, and it doesn't adapt the game, but it adapts the DLCs and the comics that take place in that universe. I would pay so much money for that. Like, same voice actors and everything. I would pay a lot of money for that.
Here's what I would say about that is I agree because I feel like if they just made like it would just be like a mini series. Every not even the DLC because the DLC is obviously DLC. You could actually play it, but the
Right.
specifically if they take the comics that and if we're being real, most people who play the video game aren't going to read those comics. But what they would do is watch an animated series that basically tells the same story that those comics do. So I agree with you. If they animated those tie-in comics, that would actually be really cool.
Yeah.
Got any other ones that are original video games? I have
Original video games.
that I
All right.
would like that we both would like, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. I would love a Watch Dogs animated series. Not just any Watch Dogs though. Watch Dogs 2. And I meant to add that to media I'm consuming. I'm replaying Watch Dogs 2. And it's probably my favorite video game of all time. Like, it's just something about it with the hacking, the setting, the colors, the art direction, the humor, like all of it just mixes together. It's perfect. I would love like a Watch Dogs 2 adaptation, animated and like not in the style of Spider-Verse, but like
Have you ever seen Love, Death, and Robots?
I've seen a little bit of it.
So there's an episode on that called The Witness, and the dude who directed, animated, and wrote that episode, he did the first trailer for not the trailer, but you remember that animated trailer for Watch Dogs Legion, where it was like a dude running from people through the street.
Yeah.
That was animated. It didn't look animated at first, but that was animated. And he basically that same art style that he uses for that trailer, he did for that episode of Love, Death, and Robots, which is an anthology animated series on Netflix for anyone who doesn't know. That I watch all of. It's fantastic. You should finish watching it if you haven't. But if it was in that specific style from that Watchdog Legions trailer, a Watchdog show would be fantastic. Even though I think it would actually work it in live action more. It would work in live action better, in my personal opinion. But animated, I could also see it. I also wanted to say that Watch Dogs 2, it's funny that you mentioned it because I tweeted about it yesterday because someone, I was listening to a podcast where someone was talking about, no, I commented under a podcast on YouTube where someone was talking about streamers playing games for like 7 hours long. And he was saying how he couldn't do it because that's a lot of time to sit in front of a screen playing video games. The longest time I've sat down and played a video game ever was Watch Dogs 2 because I got one for my little brothers for their birthday. But before I gave it to them, I wanted to beat it myself. And I sat down. I got it at 12. I got home from after getting the GameStop at 12 p.m. p.m. I played it from then until 12 a.m. Went to sleep. Woke up at 6 and played it for another 12 hours until I beat it. So essentially, I played the main story for 12 hours straight. One day, woke up, played it for 12 hours straight again until I beat it. That was the longest like time consecutively that I've played a game. I've never played a game for that long, sitting down in one sitting, ever again. And I don't know if I ever will, but Watch Dogs 2 is the longest I've sat down and played the game, and that game is indeed really fun. It takes everything from Watch Dogs that Watch Dogs kind of didn't deliver a lot of the things that they said were going to be in the game, and Watch Dogs added all of those things that they didn't add in the first game that they were going to have. One, because it was in Seattle, I feel like the traversal was better because in Chicago there are so many tall buildings everywhere blocking your view.
No, Watch Dogs 2 is in San Francisco.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's in San Francisco.
Yeah,
they're next to each other, Seattle and San Francisco.
They are actually very close, but yeah.
In reality, they're actually not that close because the United States is gigantic. But
well, yeah, California's huge.
Yeah, in reality, the distance between Seattle and California is the size of a country because most countries aren't as big as our country.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off and go on this long.
You're good.
But I just want to say that the characters, one of the biggest parts of Watch Dogs 2 that I feel like they did better than the first game, despite the fact that I did like a lot of the characters from the first game, is that on top of the fact that the main character was black, all of the characters were way more relatable because they were younger, and also they were, I guess, funner. No, Aiden,
way more fun.
Aiden is a grizzled old man.
Yeah.
In the first game, he's a grizzled old man. In the second game, he's still a grizzled old man. In the third game, he's still going to continue to be a grizzled old man.
Yeah.
While these characters are fun and they're young and they're fighting, but they're having fun with it. They aren't so serious about everything. Spoiler alert for the first Watch Dogs for anyone who hasn't played it. I forget her name, but that girl that died.
I forget her name too. There's so much about the first Watch Dogs that's just so forgettable for me.
She was probably my favorite character in there because she was much like the characters in the second game. She was younger than him. She was funner. She wasn't as like dark and brooding as Aiden.
Right.
Like Aiden's a cool character to come back as. He's like Ezio in Assassin's Creed. He always comes back, but he doesn't always need to be played.
Right. He wasn't playable in Watch Dogs 2, and I don't know. That's not true because I did see the trailer for the DLC for Watch Dogs Legion.
Legion.
Yeah.
Him and
Wrench is back, and I'm so excited about that.
Him and Wrench.
Because Wrench and Marcus were my two favorite characters from Watch Dogs 2, and Wrench is back. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, Wrench. I'm not gonna lie, I was mad disappointed when his mask came off. He was just like regular. It was like Kakashi in Naruto when they finally showed his face. The only thing that was weird about his face, he had a mole like below his mouth. Like, yeah,
no, with Wrench, all he had was like a scar and like a tattoo, and I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
No.
But Wrench was one of the best characters.
Wrench is like the best. I don't care what anybody says. If there are people that dislike Wrench.
I wish they never took his mask off.
I do too.
Because that mystery was so dope until it wasn't because they, took his mask off. But that mystery, right, wondering what he looks like and who he is and all that stuff was so dope. Because you have no idea. Here's the thing. I'm not as interested in Watch Dogs Legion as I was with in Watch Dogs 2 because after playing the first,
I'm not interested in Legion at all.
Yeah, because when I played the first Watch Dogs, you could see the potential after playing it. Because you saw all the stuff from all the trailers and gameplay events that they had for the first Watch Dogs that made you go, wow, this is going to be dope. And then you play it, and it was interesting, but it wasn't as dope as you wanted it to be. And then Watch Dogs 2 took all of that and turned it up.
In my eyes, Watch Dogs 2 is the perfect sequel.
And it was fun. And Watch Dogs Legion, the reason I'm not a fan of it is because, unlike Watch Dogs 2, they don't have any characters for you to get attached to and love.
I was just about to say the same thing. One of my favorite things about Watch Dogs 2 is like all the characters are all super relatable and like you can get attached to the characters. I think the only one that I didn't really get attached to was Horatio, which like spoiler alert isn't a problem because he dies like halfway through the main story. Actually, but
I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, Horatio was a very forgettable character, which feels really bad to say because like they do a really good job of getting you attached to characters in this game, but like he was super forgettable. But oh yeah, no, like you get attached to these characters, and then it doesn't seem like you can get attached to a character in Legion because like if they die, they're gone for good, and then they just swap you to a completely new character, and I'm just like,
Yeah. And it's weird because despite the fact that their track record is iffy, Ubisoft knows how to make you like characters.
yeah,
Like they do it, like Assassin's Creed. Every Assassin's Creed you play as a new character. They still find a way to make you like that character. Altair, he was cool, but he was in the first game. That was a long time ago. Nobody really thinks about Altair that often. Ezio is most people's favorite assassin.
the
Connor,
games without Altair expanded on Altair. Like that's when people started liking him as a character.
every game they mention Altair because they have to because he was the first.
Yeah.
Ezio's, like I said, most people's favorite. He had 3 games. Of course, he's going to be most people's favorite. Connor was fun. I like Connor. What was his grandfather's name? Edward. Edward Kenway was cool. You said you particularly like the twin siblings and Syndicate.
Oh, Jacob and Evie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the one in France?
I forget what his name. Arno. I don't like Arno. I like Arno in the DLC. I don't like Arno in the main game just because he is like the personality of a wet cardboard box.
Yeah, a lot of the characters they like. Ubisoft knows how to make you like characters. Other than in that first Watch Dogs, they know how to make you like characters because they constantly have to change characters almost every game they do. But for some reason in this game, I get why they did it. It's meant to be like this cool, interesting mechanic, which it kind of is. But it also takes away from the story that you have to connect to. Like, here's the thing. If it was like GTA, where there were like 3 characters, you played GTA 5, right? There's no way you had it.
Yeah, I played GTA 5.
If I ever heard somebody say they never played GTA 5, it would be weird.
Actually, I haven't played GTA 5 until recently. Like, I had not played it until quarantine started. Just because it never interested me that much. And, like, quarantine started, and I had time before college started, and I was like, yeah, I might as well.
Yeah, but in that story, when you switch between the characters, you like pressed on the D-pad, and if they did something like that with Watch Dogs, where it would be cool if they introduced a new character in Legion, and then the other 2 characters you had access to were Marcus and Aiden. That would have been dope.
That would be cool.
If you got a wholly new character in Watch Dogs Legion, this British person, and then the other 2 characters you get access to are Marcus and Aiden. And in my opinion, just to add diversity to the entire cast, is a white dude, a black dude, and the other dude should have been an Indian person. A woman. Okay. It should have been an Indian woman specifically. Just add some diversity. Okay.